All right, then I'll go first. I resolved to be more open-minded about Earth's emotions. I'm always trying to analyze them, but maybe it's time to just feel. Nila smiled. That's a great one. My resolution is to embrace new experiences with humans and not just observe from a distance. Being a part of their holidays has been fascinating. Bix hesitated, then added, my resolution is to let go of logic every now and then. Maybe it's all right if some things are unexplainable. As they each made their own resolutions, they felt a surprising warmth and excitement in their hearts, a feeling they'd rarely experienced back on Zephyron. Suddenly the crowd began to chant. 10, 9, 8. The observants joined in, their voices blending with the humans around them, caught up in the energy. 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! The crystal ball dropped, and an explosion of lights, confetti, and cheers filled the air. People hugged, laughed, and celebrated around them, and the observants found themselves swept up in the joy. Leo handed them each a sparkler, which they waved in the air, marveling at the glittering trails it left behind. In a distant galaxy, on a peaceful planet called Zephyron, an alien team known as the Observants was tasked with one job: studying humans. This team was full of curious creatures, each with their own quirks. There was Zark, the adventurous leader with bright green skin and 3 eyes; Nila, the ever-curious researcher with her endless questions and blue, shimmering scales; and Bix, a tiny but fearless tech genius with a knack for making gadgets out of almost anything. One day, the Observants received a new mission: human rituals. During the fall season, they were excited to learn that humans had a holiday called Halloween, and it seemed like a big deal. But what really puzzled them was one strange tradition: pumpkin carving. Why do humans cut faces into these big, orange vegetables? Zark asked, scratching his head with one of his many fingers. They had no idea how to bake, but Bix pulled up a Thanksgiving pie recipe on his data tablet, instructing Zark and Nila on what to do. Step 1: preheat oven to 375 degrees. Bix read out. 375 of what? Zark muttered, scratching his head. Zephyron ovens didn't exactly follow Earth's temperature measurements. After a few hilarious miscalculations and some strange spice combinations, the ship was filled with the smell of their attempt at a pumpkin pie. It looked a bit odd, with purple spices and a wobbly crust, but they each took a small slice, eager to taste their creation. The pie was a bit unconventional, but as they tasted it, a strange warmth filled them, a feeling they couldn't quite explain. It wasn't just the food, it was the memory of the people they'd shared Thanksgiving with, the kindness of Mrs. Dawson, and the laughter of the humans around the table. As they floated quietly above Earth, each alien took a moment to reflect on the strange human concept of gratitude. Zark leaned back in his chair, a satisfied smile spreading across his face. I think I'm grateful for this mission, he admitted softly, surprising even himself. Nila's eyes sparkled. And I'm grateful for pie, no matter what planet it's from. Bix looked up from his data screen, raising an alien snack pod. To Earth's traditions and our next adventure. Just as they toasted to their strange new discoveries, their ship's console beeped with yet another mission. The screen flashed. Winter holidays, the mystery of gift-giving and snow celebrations. The observants grinned at each other, knowing they were about to plunge into another round of human mysteries. They hadn't even finished their Thanksgiving pie when the thrill of their next earthly adventure already beckoned them forward. Without a moment's hesitation, they prepared their disguises once again and set course for their next earthly investigation, discovering what humans called Christmas. As the observants hovered above Earth, scanning for information on this new mission, they marveled at the human concept of Christmas. Nila's screen quickly filled with images of snow-covered houses, twinkling lights, decorated trees, and most baffling of all, a large human in a red suit with a white beard. That's exactly what we need to find out, Nila said, already typing furiously on her floating data screen. Humans put these carved pumpkins outside their homes and call them jack-o'-lanterns. But why? Without wasting another moment, they decided to teleport down to Earth. They materialized right in the middle of a small town on Halloween night, blending in with the humans by activating their cloaking devices. Each alien looked like a human kid in costume, thanks to Bix's tech. Zark looked like a pirate, Nila was dressed as a wizard, and Bix was so small that he ended up looking like a miniature pumpkin with legs. As they wandered through the town, They saw hundreds of Jack-O' lanterns lining doorsteps. Some had friendly smiles, others had angry faces, and a few looked downright creepy. The aliens stood there, staring at each one, completely fascinated. Why would someone want to make vegetables look so? Angry Bix wondered aloud. Just then they heard a voice behind them. "Hey, cool costumes. Are you trick-or-treating or just looking at pumpkins?" Zark felt a tug on his sleeve and turned to see a little girl with sparkling eyes. "Happy New Year," she squeaked, handing him a tiny, homemade bracelet. "It's for good luck touched." Zark accepted the gift, slipping it onto his wrist. "Thank you, little human. I'll cherish it." As the celebration wound down, the observants reluctantly prepared to teleport back to their ship. But just as they were about to leave, Leo approached them with a curious look. "You know, you guys seem different," he said, squinting a bit. "It's like you're seeing all of this for the first time." Zark exchanged a glance with Nila and Bix. After a moment, he simply grinned. "You could say that. We're just travelers, learning about your world one holiday at a time." Leo chuckled, patting Zark on the back. "Well, you picked a good place to start. There's always something to celebrate here." With a final wave, the observants returned to their ship, hearts full and minds buzzing with new understanding. They added their resolutions to the ship's log, feeling an unusual sense of hope and anticipation for what lay ahead. As they drifted further into space, the ship's console lit up with a new notification: Valentine's Day, the mystery of love and affection. The observants stared at each other in astonishment. "Valentine's Day," Nila repeated, her eyes widening. "A whole day just for love?" Bix looked at the display, his tiny antennas twitching with curiosity. This might be our most perplexing mission yet. With the star from Santa hanging above and their New Year's resolutions fresh in their minds, the observants prepared for yet another adventure. Ready to uncover the mysteries of the human heart, the observant ship glided through space, their excitement growing as they prepared for their next mission investigating the human holiday known as Valentine's Day. The more they read, the more baffling it seemed. According to Earth's information sources, Valentine's Day involved hearts, flowers, cards, and declarations of affection, a concept they'd only scratched the surface of on previous trips. Zark, who usually led with confidence, looked uncharacteristically hesitant. "I understand collecting data, but expressing feelings. This seems complicated." Nila, who had always been the most observant, nodded thoughtfully. They turned to see a girl with curly red hair and a witch's hat. Her name was Lily, and she seemed about 12 years old, holding a bag overflowing with candy. "Trick-or-treating?" Zark asked, confused but trying to act like he knew what she meant. "Oh yes, that's exactly what we're doing." Lily raised an eyebrow. "You're supposed to say trick or treat and get candy. Haven't you guys done this before?" Nila jumped in, nodding eagerly. "We're new to the area. Could you explain it to us?" Lily laughed and handed them each a piece of candy. "Sure. Halloween's about dressing up, getting candy, and of course carving pumpkins." Finally, Zark couldn't hold in his question any longer. "Why do humans carve pumpkins? Why make faces on vegetables?" "Oh, my dad can show you," Lily said, her eyes lighting up. "He loves carving pumpkins. We've got a whole setup in our backyard." Lily led them to her house, where her dad, Mr. Miller, was surrounded by pumpkins of all sizes, each with its own expression. He was carving a new one, carefully scooping out the insides. "This is the most mysterious holiday yet," Zark said, staring at an image of humans gathered around a Christmas tree, exchanging gifts. "Why do humans give each other objects wrapped in colorful paper? And who's this jolly red-suited human called Santa Claus?" Nila added, zooming in on a cartoon of Santa flying across the sky on a sleigh pulled by animals with horns. Bix, as usual, was busy with his tablet, tapping away. "Apparently he's supposed to bring presents to every human child in one night. But is he real?" Zark shrugged. "Only one way to find out. Let's join a human celebration and see if we can meet this Santa ourselves." After a quick teleport, the observants found themselves on a snowy street lined with houses decked out in festive lights. Humans were bustling about, wrapped in scarves and coats, carrying bags overflowing with brightly wrapped boxes. They soon spotted a house where a lively Christmas party was underway. Inside, families were gathered around a massive Christmas tree, decorated with glowing ornaments and strings of lights. They watched as a little boy excitedly hung a fuzzy red stocking by the fireplace. "Let's disguise ourselves and join in," Zark whispered, and with a tap on Bix's cloaking device, they transformed once more into human children. This time Zark was a tall, lanky boy with a bright red sweater. Nila looked like a girl with snow-white hair, and Bix, still tiny, appeared as a little boy with a mischievous grin. As they sneaked closer, a young girl named Emily spotted them from the doorway. "Hi. Are you new neighbors?" she asked with a friendly smile. "Come inside. My mum says there's always room for more on Christmas." Without hesitation, Emily led them into her family's warm and festive living room, where Emily's parents greeted them and handed them each a mug of hot chocolate. The observant stared at the steaming drinks, fascinated. Nila took a cautious sip and gasped. "It's hot and sweet. Humans really enjoy unusual flavors." Emily's dad overheard and chuckled. "You kids sure do have a funny way of talking. Hot chocolate is perfect on a snowy night." As the evening wore on, the humans shared stories of past Christmases, describing the excitement of waking up early to find gifts from Santa Claus. Zark leaned in close, fascinated. "Love isn't like a scientific formula, it's all over the place. Humans feel it, show it, and even suffer because of it all at once. It's fascinating." Bix, already tapping away on his data tablet, pulled up information about popular Valentine's traditions. "It seems humans give each other symbolic gifts like chocolates, roses, and handwritten notes to show affection," he reported. "And there's something called dating a ritual where two humans spend time together to connect." Zark looked intrigued. "Perhaps we should go undercover as couples to see how this works in practice. It might be the best way to understand love firsthand." After careful consideration, they chose a bustling city park in Paris, a location known for its romantic atmosphere. With the tap of their cloaking devices, Zark, Nila, and Bix transformed once again, this time into human couples. Zark and Nila disguised themselves as a young, starry-eyed pair, while Bix went solo, eager to investigate a few traditions on his own. As they strolled through the park, they watched couples holding hands, sitting close on benches, and exchanging small gifts. "So, why do you make pumpkins look like this?" Nila asked him, wide-eyed. Mr. Miller chuckled, wiping his hands on a cloth. "It's a tradition that goes way back. People carve faces into pumpkins to make them look like jack-o'-lanterns. It's supposed to keep away bad spirits." "Bad spirits," Bix squeaked, a bit alarmed. Mr. Miller nodded. "It's all just for fun now, of course. But long ago, people believed these lanterns would protect their homes from anything spooky. Now we just do it for decoration and laughs." The aliens exchanged glances, amazed. Nila quickly recorded the information on her data screen. "So, it's like scaring the scary things away with an even scarier thing." "Exactly," Lily laughed. Curious, Zark picked up a pumpkin. "Can I try carving one?" "Go ahead," said Mr. Miller, handing him a small carving knife. Zark had no idea what he was doing, but he was determined to make the scariest face possible. After a few minutes of fumbling, he ended up with a pumpkin that looked like it had 3 eyes and a big, lopsided grin. "Looks kinda like you," Zark, Bix teased, making Nila giggle. Just then, a group of kids walked by, seeing Zark's strange jack-o'-lantern. "Whoa, that's the creepiest one yet," one of them exclaimed, taking a step back. Bix quickly discovered a kiosk selling roses, and he observed humans picking out bouquets, each carefully choosing the perfect rose for their loved ones. Curious, he purchased a single red rose just to see what all the fuss was about. "Here," Nila, Bix said, offering her the flower. "I read that roses are symbolic of romance." Nila's cheeks flushed with surprise, and she accepted the rose with a small smile. "Thank you, Bix. It's oddly touching to receive a gesture like this." Meanwhile, Zark noticed a young couple nearby, sitting under a tree and laughing as they shared a box of chocolates. Without thinking, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a piece of intergalactic chocolate. He had been saving a rare treat from their home planet. "Would you like to try a Zephyronian treat?" Zark asked, offering the shimmering chocolate to Nila. She took a small bite and gasped. "It's like stardust and sweetness," she said, her eyes lighting up. "This is incredible." Their experience was interrupted by a lively group nearby celebrating what seemed to be a Galentine's Day picnic. Dozens of humans gathered, laughing and sharing treats. "So Santa does visit every child?" "Oh yes," Emily said, her eyes twinkling with excitement. "He sneaks down the chimney and leaves presents for good kids. And tonight, he's coming here." The observants exchanged eager glances. If Santa was real, then tonight was their best chance to meet him. They decided to wait by the fireplace, hoping to catch Santa in action. As midnight approached, Zark and his friends tried their best to stay awake. Emily had fallen asleep by the tree, surrounded by half-eaten cookies and empty mugs of hot chocolate. Just when the observants thought their mission might fail, a soft rustling sound came from the fireplace. They perked up immediately, holding their breath. To their astonishment, a plump figure dressed in red slid down the chimney, landing gracefully despite his size. His white beard sparkled, his eyes twinkled, and he carried a large sack overflowing with presents. "It's him," Nila whispered excitedly. But just as Santa was about to place gifts under the tree, he paused, looking directly at the three aliens with a knowing smile. The observants were puzzled. Wasn't Valentine's Day meant for romantic couples? A friendly human named Lily noticed their confusion and waved them over. "Galentine's is like Valentine's, but for friends," she explained with a smile. "We celebrate our friendship and enjoy the holiday without the pressure of romance." The observants joined in, sharing cookies and stories with the group. They felt a warm, fuzzy feeling growing inside them, different from the thrill of data collection or scientific curiosity. This feeling was lighter, more enjoyable friendship. So love isn't just romantic, Zark mused aloud. "It can be shared between friends," too. Lily nodded, her face softening. "Of course, love comes in all kinds. Romance, friendship, family, it's what connects us." As the night fell, the observants strolled along the Seine, illuminated by the city lights. They had experienced a day filled with laughter, treats, and surprises. Nila felt a new understanding blossoming inside her. You know, Earth holidays may be strange, but they bring people together in beautiful ways. Zark, now feeling the magic of the city, offered her his arm, mimicking what he'd seen human couples do. Well, what have we here?" he said, his voice gentle but powerful. "Three little friends who aren't from Earth, are you?" Zark gulped, trying to stay calm. We're researchers from a faraway place. We wanted to learn about Christmas." Santa chuckled, patting his round belly. "Christmas isn't just about presents, you know. It's about kindness, joy, and giving from the heart. And anyone who comes with an open mind and a warm heart is welcome to join in the spirit." The observants felt a warmth inside that they couldn't quite explain, a feeling even stronger than what they'd experienced during Thanksgiving. "So you bring gifts to show kindness?" Bix asked, his tiny voice full of wonder. "Exactly," Santa nodded. "A little gift can mean a lot to someone. And tonight, I'd like to give you a gift." He reached into his bag and pulled out a small, glittering ornament shaped like a star, glowing with a soft, otherworldly light. "This star will remind you of your time on Earth and the warmth of human tradition," Santa said, handing it to Zark. The aliens were speechless. They'd come to study human customs, but here they were, actually experiencing the magic of Christmas firsthand. Zark beamed with pride. "It seems I'm rather good at this," feeling inspired. Nila and Bix joined in, creating their own Jack-o'-o lanterns. Nila's pumpkin had a mischievous smile, and Bix's looked like it was about to burst into laughter. Soon they had a lineup of uniquely carved pumpkins, each one weirder than the last. As the night went on, more trick-or-treaters stopped by to admire their alien pumpkins. Some kids even wanted to copy their designs, trying to make pumpkins with extra eyes or funny expressions. "We've started a new pumpkin carving trend," Nila said, delighted. "Maybe next year, everyone will make pumpkins like ours." Just as they were admiring their work, a loud boo came from behind them. The aliens jumped, spinning around to see a kid dressed as a ghost, laughing as he ran away. "Ah, a human spirit!" Zark shouted, genuinely startled. Lily burst into laughter. "It's just a costume. Kids dress up as all kinds of things on Halloween to scare each other." Zark chuckled, feeling a bit embarrassed. "Agreed. Shall we keep investigating?" "I think this love thing might take more than one day to understand." Nila laughed, accepting his arm, and the two continued their stroll, savoring the sights and sounds of the city. Suddenly, a series of lights appeared in the sky, forming a message that had the whole crowd gasping. It was a romantic proposal, with a giant display that read, "Will you marry me?" Chloe. The crowd cheered, and Chloe, a young woman in the crowd, tearfully said yes to her partner. The observants watched in awe. Bix, who had been skeptical, finally admitted, "Maybe love isn't logical. but it certainly makes humans do extraordinary things. As they returned to their ship that night, the observants made a note to revisit Earth next year to see if they could learn more. But for now, their hearts, human and alien alike, were full of wonder and newfound appreciation for this mysterious force called love. The galaxy had always been vast, but with this new discovery, it felt a little warmer. As the night wore on, and the last of the trick-or-treaters started to head home, the observants found themselves surrounded by half-finished jack-o' lanterns, a pile of candy wrappers, and more spooky decorations than they could count. As Santa placed the final gifts under the tree, he gave them a wink. "Remember, my friends, the spirit of Christmas isn't bound to one planet. It's a feeling that can travel across the stars." With a tip of his red hat, Santa rose up the chimney, disappearing into the night as snow began to fall softly outside. The observants stared at the glowing star in Zark's hands, its warmth filling their hearts. Nila wiped away a tear, feeling a mix of wonder and gratitude she'd never experienced. "Humans are truly remarkable," Zark said softly, a new appreciation in his voice. Bix, always the practical one, pulled out his data tablet. "I say we report back to our planet and share what we've learned." "Perhaps Zephyron could use a holiday like this," Nila nodded, her voice full of excitement. "Yes. We could bring our own version of Christmas to Zephyron." The observants left quietly, careful not to wake the humans, and returned to their spaceship. As they took off, Earth's twinkling lights faded beneath them, but the memory of Christmas and Santa's gift would stay with them forever. "Humans certainly enjoy being scared, don't they?" The observants spent the rest of the night exploring more of the Halloween festivities, learning about costumes, games, and the endless varieties of candy. They even tried bobbing for apples, but quickly realized that sticking their heads into a bucket of water wasn't the easiest task. As the night went on, Zark, Nila, and Bix marveled at how much humans celebrated Halloween with laughter, scares, and creativity. But they still had so many questions about other mysterious Earth customs. As the evening wound down, Zark grinned at his friends. "All right, team, I think we've solved the mystery of pumpkin carving. But it seems humans have many more mysteries to explore." Nila nodded excitedly. "So, what's our next mission?" Bix's eyes sparkled. "Maybe we could investigate something called Thanksgiving." The team of observants couldn't wait to see what other curious and bizarre traditions Earth had to offer. As they floated back to their spaceship, their minds were already spinning with ideas, eager for their next adventure on the strange and wonderful planet called Earth. As the observants flew back to their spaceship, orbiting quietly just beyond Earth's sight, they huddled together, buzzing with excitement. The glow from their pumpkin carving adventure still lingered, and each of them was eager to dive into the next mystery. They hadn't even settled in when their ship's main screen flashed with a new mission directive: Thanksgiving, an Earth tradition of feasts and gratitude. The humans in the neighborhood were thrilled with their efforts, complimenting them on their costumes and their impressive pumpkin creations. Zark, Nila, and Bix had carved everything from classic grinning faces to elaborate designs, each one capturing their growing fascination with Halloween. But now, as the streets emptied, the observants found themselves under the soft glow of streetlights, alone with their thoughts. Bix tapped at his data pad. "We've gathered a lot of information. Humans fear fascination, the bond-building rituals, the thrill of dressing as others, and of course the mystical practice of pumpkin carving." Nila looked around at the flickering jack-o' lanterns lining the street. "It's funny. These little lights feel like they're keeping something at bay, as if humans need to conquer their fears by lighting them up. Maybe that's part of Halloween's purpose." Zark nodded thoughtfully. "It's strange, by exploring their own fears and facing imaginary monsters, humans seem to become closer. I don't fully understand it, but it feels important." Just then, a small voice interrupted their musings. Their ship's console beeped once more, bringing up the next Earth holiday to investigate. New Year's Eve, the mystery of midnight celebrations and making resolutions. Zark's eyes gleamed as he looked at his team. "It seems our journey isn't over yet. Shall we find out what humans do when they welcome a new year?" With the glowing star hanging proudly in their spaceship's main deck, the observants prepared for another earthly adventure, ready to uncover the mysteries of New Year's Eve and celebrate alongside their newfound human friends. And as they sailed through the stars, they knew they'd return to Earth again, drawn back to the strange and wonderful customs of the humans they had grown to admire. as the observants drifted through space. Their ship's lights dimmed to the glow of the sparkling star Santa had given them. They were already buzzing with excitement about their next holiday adventure, New Year's Eve. Humans celebrate the end of a year by watching clocks, making resolutions. And counting down to midnight, Zark said, tilting his head. Why count down if they know the year is ending anyway? It's more than that, Nila explained, scanning her data pad. Oh, I've read about this, Nila said, her scales shimmering with anticipation. Humans gather with family, eat giant meals, and give thanks. I don't entirely understand it, but it sounds interesting. Giant meals. Zark's 3 eyes widened. What kind of food will it be? Alien-friendly Bix grinned mischievously. I can whip up a disguise device that will make us look like regular humans again. No one will even suspect we're not from Earth within minutes. The observants had teleported back to Earth, this time landing outside a bustling house where they saw a large table set with more food than they'd ever seen in one place. They quickly blended in, each now looking like a typical human. Zark with a bushy mustache, Nila as a young girl with pigtails, and Bix as a very small and slightly grumpy-looking boy. The door swung open, and a kind woman, Mrs. Dawson, welcomed them inside. She was hosting the Thanksgiving feast, and she greeted the observants with a warm smile. Come in, come in. We always have room for a few more at our table. The aliens shuffled in, marveling at the cozy decorations, colorful leaves, little pumpkins, and a large centerpiece made of corn. A young girl, dressed as a witch with a sparkly hat and a broom, approached them. She looked up at the observants, her eyes wide with awe and curiosity. Are you real aliens? She whispered, clutching her candy bag tightly. The observants exchanged glances, unsure how to respond. But then Nila crouched down, smiling at the girl. We're travelers from a faraway place, she said softly. We came to learn about your special holiday. The girl's eyes lit up. I knew it. My brother said there's no such thing as aliens, but I knew they'd come on Halloween. She looked around at their pumpkin carvings, her face full of admiration. You did really good. I hope you come back next year. The observants felt a strange warmth at her words. They had come for research, but they were leaving with something they hadn't expected, a sense of connection to this curious, spirited species. As the girl ran back to her family, Zark, Nila, and Bix gathered their equipment, preparing to return to their ship. They looked back one last time at the street filled with glowing pumpkins, spooky decorations, and quiet houses, each one with a bit of Halloween magic. It's like a fresh start, a chance for humans to set new goals, reflect on what they've learned, and celebrate all at once. And at midnight, they cheer, hug, and sometimes even kiss to mark the moment. Bix, as always, was deep in thought. A celebration based on self-reflection and change. It's oddly noble. The observants prepared their disguises once more, eagerly planning to attend a massive New Year's Eve celebration in the heart of a city called New York. They'd read that the city was famous for a dazzling event where a giant crystal ball dropped at midnight, marking the New Year's arrival. With a flash of their teleporter, the observants found themselves in Times Square, surrounded by enormous screens, flashing lights, and a crowd of excited humans bundled up in scarves and hats, buzzing with anticipation. Nila gasped as she took in the sight. It's spectacular. So many humans all here just to count down to the new year. A cheerful young man named Leo, holding a sparkly hat, noticed them looking around in awe. Hey, first time in New York for New Year's Eve? He asked with a friendly smile. Back on their ship, as they left Earth's orbit, they each felt a mixture of excitement and something bittersweet. Halloween had been an adventure, unlike any other, and it left them wondering what other mysteries Earth's holidays might hold. Zark finally broke the silence. So, should we return next Halloween? It might be interesting to see how things change. Bix chuckled, still skeptical yet clearly affected. Or to learn if humans have any more holidays that involve pumpkins. Nila laughed. Or perhaps to see if our little friend has convinced her brother that aliens are real. After all, they all smiled, feeling the familiar hum of the ship as it whisked them back to Zephyron. But now, Earth held a special place in their memory, a place of mystery, courage, and warmth. As they sailed away through the stars, a faint glow from the pumpkins they'd carved seemed to stay with them, lighting their way across the galaxy, a reminder that sometimes facing a little fear can lead to some of the brightest discoveries. The smell of roasting food filled the air, making their stomachs rumble, or in Bix's case, his tiny alien stomach produced a soft purr. Zark leaned over to Nila. So, what exactly are they giving thanks for? Before Nila could answer, Mrs. Dawson called everyone to attention, raising her glass. On this Thanksgiving, we're grateful for family, friends, and the wonderful meal we're about to share. Each person around the table went on to say something they were thankful for. A young boy was grateful for his new puppy, an elderly woman thanked everyone for their health, and a little girl simply whispered, "I'm thankful for pie." The observants exchanged puzzled glances. Gratitude wasn't something they practiced on Zephyron. They were more focused on research and knowledge than on emotions like appreciation. When it was Zark's turn, he hesitated, then awkwardly blurted, "I'm thankful for the chance to study Earth's strange and fascinating customs." Mrs. Dawson looked amused, taking it as an attempt at a joke. "Well, that's an interesting one." As everyone laughed, plates began to fill up with food. "Yes," Zark said eagerly. "We've traveled very far to experience it. Well, you picked the perfect spot." Leo grinned. "There's nothing like the ball drop. Stick around at midnight, the whole city lights up, and everyone cheers in the new year." The observants thanked Leo, eager to watch this legendary event. But as the clock ticked closer to midnight, something even more mysterious caught their attention. People around them were talking about New Year's resolutions, with each human setting a different goal. One woman pledged to read more books, a man promised to exercise regularly, and a child even vowed to learn how to play the piano. Nila leaned close to Zark. "They're setting goals based on personal growth," she whispered, amazed. "It's like a tradition to better themselves with the start of each new year." Bix, who usually focused on data and analysis, suddenly looked thoughtful. "Maybe we could try setting resolutions too. I mean, we're always researching humans, but we could use some self-improvement as well." Zark's eyes sparkled with curiosity. There was a massive golden turkey in the center, surrounded by mounds of mashed potatoes, gravy, stuffing, and something called cranberry sauce. Nila picked up a spoonful of the red, jiggling sauce, examining it closely. "Is this food?" she whispered to Bix, who shrugged. One brave bite later, she declared, "It's weird, but delicious." Bix, on the other hand, was transfixed by a bowl of mashed potatoes. He scooped up a tiny mound, placing it on his plate, only to find that it was so fluffy, it practically melted in his mouth. "Humans really know how to make food interesting," he said, thoroughly impressed. But then came dessert, the grand finale. Out of the kitchen came an enormous pumpkin pie, golden and fragrant, topped with a swirl of whipped cream. "More pumpkins," Zark exclaimed, astonished. "First they carve faces in them, and now they eat them? What is the relationship between humans and pumpkins?" Mrs. Dawson chuckled. "Pumpkin pie is a Thanksgiving tradition. It wouldn't feel like Thanksgiving without it." Curious, Zark took a slice and took a big bite, his three eyes lighting up instantly. "This is incredible. I can't believe they use pumpkins for this." As they devoured their desserts, the observants found themselves caught up in the warmth and laughter of the human gathering. Even though they were far from their home planet, the cozy atmosphere made them feel oddly welcome. But soon, curiosity got the better of them. After a quick whispered conversation, the observants decided to sneak into the Dawson family's backyard for a closer look at the mysterious pies. Using Bix's mini scanner, they quickly determined that pumpkin pies were indeed edible and highly nutritious by Zephyron standards. "Do you think we should try making our own pie?" Nila asked, her curiosity brimming over. Zark's eyes gleamed. "Absolutely. Let's find a recipe and bring some human traditions back to Zephyron." The observants quietly collected ingredients from the Dawsons' backyard garden: pumpkins, spices, and even a few cranberries for good measure. Soon enough, they'd gathered a pile of supplies which they carefully teleported back to their spaceship. Back on their ship, the observants started their experiment.